Yo, what is up, everybody? My name is Sincere from the Standard 81 Podcast, and we are back again with another video. We're going to have some fun with this one. But before we get started, let's go ahead and take that quick 30-second break so that we can get our minds right, and I'll be back here with you in 3, 2, 1. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to first thank you for rocking out with me. I appreciate you all. If you are coming into this particular stream, go ahead and hit that like button. If you don't like what I'm saying, go ahead and change it to a dislike. Either way it goes, it is engagement. As well as if you want to hear everything I had to say and check out what's coming brand new, go ahead and subscribe down below. That'll be greatly appreciated. As well as comment anything that you want to say down below about the content, and share this with somebody that you think needs to hear it. Without any further ado, let's get into this. What happens in the future? Well, here's what I'm going to say first. We live in a world that is highly charged as far as emotions and issues and personal issues. But having said that, we need to start, if we haven't already, beginning to think about what it is the future is going to look like. If we continue the way we are. Now, the atmosphere is very charged considering what the election and all this other stuff, but I'm here to talk to you guys about choices and consequences and what the future can look like. We need to begin to ask ourselves, what is it we really want in the future? And can we afford the price of what we're asking for? I believe there's too many of us that are looking for perfection amongst human beings and disguising it as either political or human rights or whatever the case may be. And the reason I'm saying this is because when it comes to finding somebody that you are going to stick out with for the rest of your life, you have to understand that you are a different person. They are a different person. The thing you are trying to do is come together and be one. Meaning this, your autonomy and your self-identification to a certain extent is going to have to go out of the window, whether you're a man or a woman. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Some of who you are is going to have to leave in order for you to be one. Now, if you're a person that says, I really don't care, I just want to live my life, I want to be able to do what it is I want to do without any regrets or anything like that, cool. But I say to you this, when do you say enough is enough? When do you say that human autonomy needs to stop and the choices of individuals need to stop. Because if you live under the opinion that it doesn't matter unless it affects you, then you can't really blame people for their choices or the things that they do in life. And you have no moral ground to stand on. Or no societal ground to stand on. Because autonomy for an individual means you get to think as individual people. You get to think the way you want, and they get to think the way they want. And see, here's the problem. The conflict becomes when you want to start interacting with other people and saying we need to get along as a civilized society. You can't have it both ways. You can't say on one end, we all autonomous individuals who deserve individual rights and deserve to be looked at a case by case basis based upon our individual needs. And then turn around on the other hand and say we need to look at ourselves as a collective because everything that's happening is affecting us as a collective. You gotta pick a road. Or else you never establish anything. Now it's fine if you say to yourself, I am an individual and I am going to look at life that way from my own individual perspective, which is highly selfish, but nonetheless, I can't sit there and say that you're wrong for that because that's the way you choose to live. The only person that you're going to have to answer to in the long run is the God upstairs, the one that made you. And regardless of whether or not you believe in it or not, at some point, you're going to have to answer. The principle of reaping and sowing is one of those things that none of us can negate. We either answer for it now, here during the course of our lives, or we're going to answer. But either way it goes, we're going to answer for it. And we got to decide, we got to begin to decide once and for all, what do we want our lives to look like in the future? What is it we really want? What is it we're hoping to gain? Because you can't have a united front where everybody is thinking like individuals. Or you keep on saying there needs to be an exception for this, there needs to be an exception for that, there needs to be an exception. See, here's what I like about kingdoms, right? And in the kingdom there's good and there's good and bad, but ultimately in God's kingdom, he's the one that, and let me stop and say this. Mind you, I am a Christian, so I'm taking this from a biblical stance. But let's just talk about people. In a kingdom, there is an autonomous rule. One person sets the rules. They say this is how we're going to live. You have a choice whether to do it or not. And that's pretty much the choice you get. And if you choose not to do it, you pay the penalty for not going along with the rules. Whether it's something outlandishly horrific or it's something minor. But where you have a republic and a democracy and all this stuff, at times you got too many hands in the basket. You got too many individuals wanting to see their agenda be pushed. Now, here's the bad thing about a kingdom. If you give a corrupt official a kingdom, well, then your whole governing body is going to be corrupt. But if you get somebody who is truly benevolent and truly has the best interest of their people in mind, you'll get a great outcome. But see, with democracy and having a republic, everybody gets a say so. And we got to start beginning to decide, do we want this to work in the way that we said we want it to be? Or do we want something else? And to those of you that say, I want something else, cool, start living your life in that way. But be prepared, either way it goes, on either side of the fence, to pay for the consequences of your action. Because the thing we got to stop doing is passing the buck. We can't keep on saying we want something, and then when it doesn't work out in our favor, all of a sudden we want to cry the blues and be like, oh, it's everybody else's fault, or I never knew, or whatever the case may be. Because the future is going to be determined by our decisions. And when I say our decisions, I mean collective as people. So we got to start deciding now, if we haven't already, what do we want the future to look like? And remember, some of the decisions you make in your life moving forward is going to affect people that you'll never know or never see. Because believe it or not, every person has influence. It may not be on this broad scale. Your bandwidth may be small, but you're influencing somebody, whether positive or negative. You are influencing somebody. And the question is, what do you want them to be impacted? How do you want them to be impacted? Because that's what's going to carry over into the future, and that's how you're going to be remembered. Remember, this thing is not about what we say so much as it is about what we do, or how we react to things when it comes up, especially us who claim to be Christians, because we're supposed to look different than the world. Our decision making, and the way we act, and the way we walk, and the way we talk, and the way we think of things should be different. So different to the point people call us peculiar and think we're out of place and nuts. That's what it should be, respectively. But oftentimes, we let ourselves get wrapped up in thinking as a hive mind instead of thinking, okay, what do I want the future to look like? And how is this going to affect everyone around me? Now, in the beginning, that's what everybody always says, that how is this going to affect everybody? And they got a governing body, or they got a king together and say, hey, look, we have thought about this on a rational level, and we feel like you're the best person for the job, that's going to take all our ideas and put them together in a fashion that is going to serve the majority the best. Are there going to be outliers that don't agree with it? Absolutely. Are there going to be people that don't feel the same way you do. Absolutely. Are there going to be people that are going to bump up against the system? Absolutely. But nonetheless, we are trusting you to do what's best for the collective. So if we're no longer thinking as a collective, let's think what we want the future to look like. Do we want to be individualistic? Do we want to be tribal? Do we want to be colonies? What do we want the future to look like? And it's all going to happen not based upon some politicians and a bunch of rules. It's not going to happen based upon all this stuff that we think is going to it's going to happen based off of what we do now. Is voting a part of it? Yeah, sure. But what you choose to do and what you choose to act on is really how your future is going to be shaped. So you got to begin to ask yourself before you do something, what is it I want my future to look like? Because so many of us, including myself, would go back, and if we're very honest with you, we would say we regret some of the stuff we did in the past because of the way it affected our future, which is now our present. And you're saying sincere, you're saying a lot, but it don't sound like you saying much of anything. I am saying simply this. For every action, there is a reaction. For every choice, there is a consequence. For everything that happens under the sun, something is going to happen. You can begin to control it to a certain extent if you make some decisions. And the decision cannot be based upon just you as an individual. You got to think, what do I want my future to look like? And if you say to yourself, I want to be an autonomous individual and I don't care what the future looks like for anybody else but me because I'm not worried about that, then cool. But be ready to live with the consequences of that. Because you can't say on one hand, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that because we can't have it our way. Or we want to wait until everything is perfect. You'll never do nothing. Something that my grandfather told me. He said, if you wait for timing to be perfect, you'll never do anything. If you wait for everything to get in place, you will never do nothing. And I'm here to tell you, sometimes doing nothing is doing something. So ask yourself, what is it you want the future to look like? And if you don't know, my suggestion is this. You need to go to the person who made you and ask him, what do you want my future to look like? And when he begins to open it up to you, you need to ask more questions and more questions and more questions until you finally get your answers. And don't be surprised if it's a long way away from what you thought your future should look like. Guys, I know that everything is charged. And I know that people may feel one way or the other right now, but I'm here to tell you this. If you don't start making some decisions outside of what you know, and start asking yourself, what is it that's going to happen in the future? You're going to lose out. Point blank, period. Anyways, guys, that's all I want to say. Thank you for checking out the Standard 81 podcast. I appreciate you so much. Check me out over there on TikTok at the Standard 81 podcast, as well as on Instagram at Sincere the Artist. Like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff that you normally do, as well as check out the link tree, all my bio in my bio. All that stuff there all that stuff is there on how to get in touch with me, including ways to get into my other socials. And I will see you guys on the next one. God bless you all. Hope you have a great day. Peace.